Pensacola, wasn't you?
Yes.
Well, Pensacola always had good players.
Followed by your favorite college football alumni show.
Roll Tide.
The Mouth of the South, Paul Feinbaum, talks everything college football.
The dynasty is not over.
In the Sports Drive on your way home.
Chad, it's always good to talk to you.
On Friday night, Joe Ford calls the biggest high school football games. College Game Day kicks off the weekend, followed by our very own Davis Allen on the Sports Call.
Antonio Brown, I'm having a tough time believing in.
And your home for UWF Argonaut football.
Keep going, let's go.
On Sunday, join us at World of Beer for the NFL Tailgate Show. The season is here, and we're not playing games. Well, actually, we are. ESPN Pensacola 1330, FM 99.1.
That's football, guys.
There's a lot going on right now, and broadcasters are on the ground covering all of it, bringing you the weather, the traffic, and breaking news, all while entertaining you 24 hours a day. Someone needs to tell you what's going on around the world and in our hometowns. And that someone is us. We are free radio. We are always there. We are broadcasters. Visit wearebroadcasters.com or text radio to 52886 to learn more. Furnished by NAB and this station.
Football season has arrived, and ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM 99.1 FM is where the action is. Bringing your high school football every Friday night, UWF football on Saturdays, and the NFL on Sundays. If you would like to partner with ESPN Pensacola as a sponsor or promotional partner, give us a call at 262-6000.
ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM, WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Just become the NFL's all-time leading rusher. Across the middle, and it's caught for the first. It's Baldwin shaking free and sprinting down the sideline for the touchdown. His third of the day. Doug Baldwin.
Derek Brooks, who ran back 3 interceptions for touchdowns in the regular season, does it to cement the Super Bowl.
Boxing's elite, the new WBA heavyweight champion of the world, Roy Jones Jr.
Baldwin beaten. The result has come up on screens that Gatlin's taken it. Goodness me, it was a blue American vest, 992 the Gatlin. 992 by the American champion to take gold.
Another Watson is wearing a green jacket at Augusta. And this time, his name is Bubba. Scores on a 34-yard touchdown run by the Doak Walker Award winner, Trent Richardson, who broke a lot of Emmett Smith's records back in Pensacola, Florida.
And welcome into the Sports Drive right here on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. I am Chad Brilliante. Glad to be with you here. As always, simulcast on Blab TV. We're going to have some fun as we get set to go for all the big games and get into little high school football. Tonight, Justin Patrick will be calling the game as Pine Forest and PHS will be battling out. Two teams that have had a long history, a great history, and should be some fun. It is a historic place when you go down to Jim Scoggins Field, and Justin will be leaving there. He is not a hologram, so he's here actually live in studio before he heads down there. He's been working the Seafood Festival today, and we're going to have some fun with that. Justin, what's happening, my friend?
I'm doing good. It's a busy day for me. It's pretty hectic coming here. Got to do this at the Seafood Festival earlier. It's a great setup we have going on there. Not much going on because all the kids are they're at school right now during that time, but I'm pretty sure there's probably going to be a lot more people out around our 10 area. That's where all the concerts go on, and that's when it's going to start up this afternoon. And then I'm going to head out to the high school at PHS for a great game tonight versus Pine Forest.
Yeah, looking for some fun. It could drop about 10 degrees out there, but it's okay.
So.
It's a good day to be out there.
Let's hope it does drop.
Yeah. Jeffrey D, by the way, folks. Happy birthday weekend.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
There you go. You should get a win. It should be a birthday victory against Townsend, I would expect. I would hope.
Yeah, Towson State.
Be a big spoiler right there for the Tigers.
Maryland. They, of course, have their quarterback is Tommy Flacco, the little brother of Joe Flacco. And so, Towson may challenge the Gators for a half, and so we'll see what happens.
Jeff, when you look right now at the Florida Gators and what you saw last week from Kyle Trask, you've got this game before Auburn. I just heard Pat Dye. Seemed like he was all together in that game against, when he was out there talking with a guy like – when he was out there talking and having some fun with a guy like Paul Feinbaum. But when you look right now at what's going on in this matchup, it definitely, I think it's another building game for Kyle Trask and an opportunity before he gets in the gauntlet of the schedule with Auburn and LSU and a few other big games.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's definitely a building game. Trask needs more reps. He's not a guy that's been, playing for a long period of time, and so he really needs more reps. I think that the Gators need to get those defensive starters healthy. They did get Amari Burney back last week, and he made an interception. And he's probably the best athlete on the defense that nobody knows about. But he made a big impact. The Gators were still down 2 starters. C.J. Henderson, of course, and then, of course, the big defensive lineman from North Carolina that the Gators actually beat out NC State for. And so the Gators are probably going to get those guys back for Auburn. Mm-hmm. We don't know if those guys will play this week or not. And that's Jabari Zuniga, of course, is the big DL defensive end who has 3 sacks on the year. And so if they get those guys back, then it'll go a long way to winning this football game against Townsend and maybe beating Auburn next week.
850-623-1330 is the number. We gave away had a pair for you for the Florida State game after they're going to play against NC State. Look, the Wolfpack aren't howling. They're not a team this year that is getting it done. And Florida State, they have played in 4 games where they could be 4-0. But they also could be 0-4. And that's not good when you have Louisiana Monroe. And outside of the Duck Dynasty people, I don't know who's rooting for him. Maybe Terry Bradshaw and some of those guys. But he was actually La Tech, but I'm sure everybody sticks around. It's one of them. But overall, I look at the matchup in the way that they've been able to go out there and be able to make some plays. It has been one of those kind of things where I just look at that matchup and the opportunity for them to try to go out there against NC State. And really at this point, I'm not even going to break down their season. Justin, when you look at Florida State, this is a team that they have the athletes. They're going with Hornibrook, it looks like, in this one with the injury to James Blackman. But it's one of those kind of teams, the second you start to believe in and you're like, hey, they've got it all together. This is the game. They turn around and they lay a goose egg. So I'm ready at this point. I've compared Florida State season to playing green on the roulette wheel. If you've ever played green, it's just you're like, you know what, I got $5 left in my wallet. The ATM's crushed me today. Don't really want to go home to the wife after today. It's been a bad day at the casino. Let's play green, baby. Come on, hit it so I can go home and get some gas money. And that's sort of Florida State. You can hit it, but it's not really a good choice to be playing them. I do think they win, but I'm not going to go down and break down a game, act like I know this team, and then have them screw us once again. So I'm just going to go ahead and fade and say I think they're better than NC State. They should win this game. We took them, take it to the bank last week. They got us to 4-0. But once again, I am not going to go down that path and fall into a deep hole.
Yeah, you really can't go into much depth of this game because you're just like, it's really not worth it because honestly, you don't know who's going to come out on top. Florida State should win this game. Like you said, I know last week on the sports call with Davis, he went into a lot of depth of them playing Louisville. It was a very long, elated speech, and it seemed like it wasted a lot of time just because Florida State, you don't know what's going to happen with them. They're not consistent. They should win this game. That's all I got to say.
This stuff's disgusting, by the way. I mean, this is
coconut water. Wow.
Well, no. I mean, there are some coconut waters I think that are like purified and they feel good. The body. Those people like it. It just takes the it takes the body and puts it like whatever I drank right there was disgusting. But maybe it's that brand. Let's not get sued. So I don't know what that is right there. 100%. If that's even coconuts in there.
It says pure on the top, but it looks like the old pure oil. Something.
Pure gasoline. Is that what it? That's not. Okay. Let's.
Let me comment quickly on Florida State. The Hornibrook came into the football game.
Mm-hmm.
Pro Football Focus had him as the third top rated, they have percentage ratings, quarterback in the country after he came in to the game closed. So that's got to make Florida State fans feel really, really good. And I think that they're playing much better on offense. Their pace seemed to be a little bit better this past week. They're playing better on defense. I think Florida State, they're about a touchdown favorite this week. I think they win. North Carolina State's not that good. They've beaten some scrubs. They've beaten Western Carolina and East Carolina and somebody else.
Just everybody in Carolina.
And then lost to the game they should have lost. So they're not very good. So I think Florida State wins this game, and maybe they build some traction and some momentum.
Looking at the Alabama Crimson Tide, this is a game where I'm going to give you a little an easy one right here. We continue with our take it to the bank pick each and every week. I'm going to take a look at a game against the spread. And Alabama-Duke was the winner the first week, was not pretty after one quarter, but that's when you know that you're a good team, is when people are sitting around like, whew, boy, they're having some trouble one quarter in here. Let them finish the game. And when you talk about how good they are, it's like, okay, wait a second. Let them finish the game before people freak out or something happens. They beat Duke, and they end up covering the spread. So it wasn't the way that I saw it going down, but they end up covering the 30 points. Then all of a sudden, you had Ohio State and Cincinnati, and Ohio State goes out there and takes care of business. It was only like a 14-point spread. The Buckeyes haven't got the kind of respect that we've seen in the past. They don't have that, where they've gone out there and really been able to have that type of respect. UCF then against Stanford, that was a sort of a kick in the face. But then UCF turns around and loses and has no chance at a fake national title, so I have nothing more to say. But we were 3-0 then last week. Like I said, I went with Florida State, did not feel comfortable doing it, but I just had a feeling that they were better because Louisville had, since Bobby Petrino has driven that that motorcycle into a ditch, pretty much that's the pathway of Louisville football. It has not been fun. Papa John, even Papa John lost his job. They named the stadium after that. He's not even in the house anymore. Everybody has gone downhill that had anything to do with that program. Rick Pitino was found by the FBI and set up in Las Vegas. It's just been bad times for what used to be a great period about 7-8 years ago for Louisville in sports. I look at that one this week. I'm going big. The Crimson Tide, 37-point favorite over Ole Miss, taking on a team right there. I like them to win this game. And, Jeff, usually Alabama will pull their starters. They'll do things in the first half and make things happen against bad teams, usually the teams that they pay or they're going to annihilate when they play a Western Carolina or a Tennessee Chattanooga, and they usually don't cover. They usually end up pulling those starters, and they milk the second half. They run the football. They get out of there, and they'll be a 55-point favorite, and they'll end up winning by about 50. In this one, they're a team that is going to go out there and play in a matchup where they're sitting there as a 37-point favorite. I see them winning this game somewhere in the range of 55-7 and covering that 37. So we're going to try to get to 5-0, keep it rolling here with Alabama at 37.5 points.
You know what? I'll probably go ahead and take Ole Miss.
Okay.
And the points. And the reason is because, like you mentioned, in the second half, Nick Saban just kind of pulls the plug. He down-throttles. He developed. And one of the big advantages Alabama has over almost everybody else in the country is he has the luxury of developing players in the second halves of games. Almost nobody else does. And so, he's got, guys that are battle tested, that are, third on the depth chart, and everybody else is, hoping that their second stringers can get by.
But against good teams, though, Jeff, to me, when I say good teams, names that we know, teams around the SEC, taking advantage of the teams that have the backing, but they don't have the roster. Meaning Ole Miss and Arkansas, teams like that are down. They're just not at the level they once were. Those are the teams that usually Alabama goes out and throttles. That's what I'm saying. The names more than the actual rosters. They usually don't let the foot off the gas pedal in SEC games, and these are the ones they usually cover. I mean, that's in the past.
Well, that's true, but I think that Nick might treat this like it was a non-conference game, and they're playing Colorado State or somebody, and just not. And it may be a backdoor cover. I mean, they may be up by 42 and end up winning by 35. So I wouldn't bet this game. I don't like to bet the high line games because it's just really a dice throw.
Mm-hmm. Looking at some of the other things going on, 11 years ago, this is when Tim Tebow, after the loss, delivered the speech, the promise that he was going to go forward. You know, people have said what they want, and you can say what you want about Tim Tebow in the NFL, but in college, you know, if you were wanting the perfect athlete in college, as a team player, as someone that believed in his team, that was going to fight for his team, it really didn't get much better than Tim Tebow. And obviously, Jeff, you know that as a fan. Justin, watching him go through the years and make it happen. But delivering that famous promise speech, that was 11 years ago, which making me feel a little bit older every single day right there. The Toronto Blue Jays are the worst team in the world for making you feel old. When you're watching Craig Biggio's son, Dante Bichette's son, and Vlad Guerrero's son, I'm sitting there, I'm like, what the heck, man? I'm like, I feel like an old pops out here. I do have a kid, and I go to bed at 9:30. But at the same time, you know, I felt like I was watching all three of those guys like it was yesterday out there playing. And now they got their kids out there running around the field. But 11 years ago was the speech, and a big moment because he delivered. It wasn't just a guy out there, Jared Hawker, calling out a team that had not lost a game or even come close to losing a game in Clemson and then getting annihilated. He actually went out there and proved it, went down the path, and did something about it. Classic moment.
He kept his word there, and it really makes me feel old too because it feels like just yesterday I was watching Tebow play in a.
But you're not even old enough to drink yet.
I know I'm not.
This might be worse than alcoholic beverage. This might be worse than a tequila shot. So if you want to like start tasting like one of those moments of a hangover, whatever is in this pure gasoline is something. Whatever brand just got there, they're like, how dare you? That's the owners watch. But I'm just saying it definitely besides this drink. Continue with Tebow, but you're not even. You should not feel old. What, you were 7 when that happened?
Yeah, I was 7. Yeah, I was 7 when that happened. But I mean, it feels like just yesterday Florida was on top, but you kind of always forget because now they're kind of coming back, or they are back from this long drought of just horrible seasons and not good coaches. And I feel like they finally found what they need with Dan Mullen, and just hearing that 11 years ago, it's really just kind of crazy to think about that. That was 2008. Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was almost surreal. It's the only time in my memory that Tim Tebow didn't convert a 4th and 1 in his career. Ole Miss stonewalled him. Houston Nutt went crazy on the sidelines. He was Ole Miss head coach back then, 11 years ago. And, of course, now he's not in the game anymore. He's a commentator. But of course, he got thrown out of Ole Miss for, having an affair with a reporter that he sent 1,500 texts to.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
They asked him about it, and he said...
It's a little worse than drunk dialing right there.
Yeah.
I think. That's...
Well, they asked him about it. He said, I did not have text with that woman.
That's a good one right there. I like that one. Yeah, I don't know. Hugh Freeze was like, I wouldn't even go there. 1,500, please. Yeah, at that point. And when it comes down to that, that's something today that's getting worse. I look back and, there was the story about the guy that had the Busch Light sign, remember? And he at one of the game days, and they end up getting, I think it was like $250,000. He donated that money to actually the Iowa Children's Hospital for Cancer. And then they matched it, and I think it's up to over $1 million now. Well, there was a guy in the Iowa Register that did a report on this kid and said, that they looked back at his history on Twitter. Must have been when Twitter was just happening. It was about 4 years ago. And he went out there and he had some racist tweets and some other things. He was, sort of like Josh Allen. He put a couple gangster songs on there, and then the next thing you know, they're looking at a white boy from Wyoming on saying things that Tupac and Biggie are saying, which probably shouldn't be coming from a 16-year-old kid's mouth. But overall, these are the things. We know think before you tweet for athletes. But digging up people's past, unless it's something where, like, you're digging up their past because, someone's trying to put lotion on the skin in a hole, in one of these movies out there like Hannibal Lecter, unless that's the kind of moment we're going down, then over a kid tweeting about a rap song or things like that, or a kid maybe posted that he was taking a rip like Laramie Tunsil out of a bong or whatever they're doing, I'm not saying it's a good look, but we've all made plenty of mistakes, and I'm so glad that we did not have cell phones back in our day in high school. When I was there in 2003, way back yonder, 2003. But when it was back there, I'm glad because everything would have been under scrutiny. And I look at it now, that the guy from the Iowa Register got fired for that because they pulled up old things like people got mad at him. Like, why are you going after this guy trying to raise money? The story is him raising money for the Iowa, Research Foundation for cancer right there. And instead, they found some demons from old school in this guy who wrote for the paper, and he ended up getting fired. But I think just people that have nothing better to do than to dig and to just do. Look, if you're going to be one of those trolls online or whatever, just do what you need to do. I don't really care. I read one forum one time when I was on air, and I gave up on it. I'm like, I'm not going to go back at this person. But at the same time, I'm telling you, for the people out there that have nothing better to do than to dig on somebody's past over something that's so minuscule, like putting out something he might have said, I'm not condoning it. But get a life and move on. And you know what? What you reap, you sow. And it happened with Houston Nutt. It happened with Hugh Freeze. Hugh Freeze pretty much got fired, even after everything, because he went after Houston Nutt. And if you would have left him alone, people then started to research, found out the cell phone because it became public record, found those cell phone numbers, and the next thing you know, Bambi and Cinnamon and the people were getting calls in Detroit, in Motown right there. I'm telling you, it was pretty bad, and that's
it wasn't
where
just
down.
one number; it was a series of numbers.
Yes,
it wasn't
that they would have never found out if it wasn't for the Houston Nutt case.
But exactly. But you're talking about people that you're talking about suppressing the media. Well, Cash Daniels, you remember Cash Daniels, Kentucky inside linebacker, who went to try to break Kyle Trask's leg, or his ankle, twist his ankle. The best view was from a Kentucky TV station, and they showed it, and it was clear that he was trying to do it. You could see from the other angles that well. But they had to bring it down from their site because they were going to be disinvited to cover any more Kentucky games. So the University of Kentucky said, like, listen, if you continue to show that on your website, then we're so there's a lot of cover up going on, and
not in football, please guys, stop this. Never would happen right there. Some of the other things going on right now, Quint Studer, it looks like we'll have a second baseball team. I'm not sure if you read the news, but I believe I'm going right on this, the Beloit Snappers, Class A right there in Wisconsin. Now Quinn is originally from Wisconsin, in that area, and he's going to buy another team. So I don't know too much about the Snappers, but at the same time,
I'm assuming he's going to leave them in Wisconsin.
Yes, I believe so. I think they're going to stay in Wisconsin as the Class A, single A affiliate right there. So he'll be of the A's, the Oakland A's.
So one day he'll be in Brats, the next way it'll be Mullet.
Yes. So. they're the single A of the A's right there. There you go. And so he has another team out there. So if you see people wearing Snappers gear, it took us a little while to get on to like, why are people wearing Reds gear down here for a while? Like when I first moved down here, I'm like seeing Reds hats and jerseys everywhere, and I was like, what is going on? Is this some kind of like like Denver, Colorado has a huge Florida Gator following. Like there are some places that just have great alumni in one certain area. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe that's but I get out there and then I'm like, okay, I'm seeing the signs. Got more Twins gear going on here, things like that. But I'm telling you, I don't think we're going to see too much Beloit Snapper, Yeah. I'm not even 100% sure I'm saying that right, but that's, it could be like Beloit, one of these names kind of thing. Beloit Snappers, folks, another team out there that we have. Two teams now.
I wonder if you
could
catch a snapper in the Great Lakes.
That's right.
Speaking of Gator clubs, probably the biggest Gator club is in New York City. They have to have 3 different bars to house all the Gator fans that want to come to the viewing parties. And so, the Gator Nation's all over.
There it is.
Now I know where to go if I'm in New York City during football season.
Exactly. I'll give you the names of those bars.
Go Gators right there. You got to be careful what Gator club you walk into in Louisiana. You might be going in the different route. If you see purple and gold and you're like, thought this was the Gator club, I'm in the wrong jersey, and all of a sudden you're like pulled down there like, shoot him, Alex, get him. You might you want to.
Well, there's good thing about the LSU fans. You go to the to LSU game on the road and they cuss you out and then they go like, after they through cussing you out, they say, "Come on over here and eat some boudin balls."
Yeah, that's right. But they cuss you out in French.
But they're actually pretty nice people.
Yeah, and they feed you. They beat the crap out of you and feed you. It's all right. It's all fair and love and war. Just don't go to Crystal after a national title. When we come back, we're going to get to more on what's going on with some of the big games in college football. As we had a chance to talk to Pat Dye, I heard him on right there with Feinbaum before we came on air. He seemed like he was ready to go. He had cleaned up. Usually does our interview from his ranch out there, sitting in front of the TV, happy hour, having fun. But overall, he sounded great, and it was a good interview. So looking forward to talking to Coach Dye next week with Auburn. Always a tough game against Mississippi State. Not the biggest week overall of games, but a couple intriguing matchups like Ohio State, Nebraska, and a few other ones that we'll talk about when we come back. It's all coming back right here. It's the Sports Drive, off and running on this Friday evening on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Make new memories this summer at Harley-Davidson of Pensacola. Owning a Harley is easier and more affordable than ever because at Harley-Davidson of Pensacola, they say WTF. That's right, they are willing to finance. Bad credit, no problem. The Harley-Davidson experts will get you financed. Discover your inner child again with the freedom that owning a Harley brings. Harley-Davidson of Pensacola. Let's ride.
I just finished updating my bath with Bath Fitter. Best decision ever. 35 years experience, Bath Fitter knows their stuff. I custom designed the luxury bath I wanted. The color, the style, thousands of options. Luxury hotel quality. Bath Fitter Pensacola did the rest. Installed my bath in less than a day, no demo, no mess, and it's under a lifetime warranty. I love my new bath. Visit bathfitter.com today to book your free in-home consultation and join over 2 million satisfied customers or call 429-1777.
Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday.
How about we add Sunday to that list? It's the NFL Tailgate Show at World of Beer.
Your plans just changed.
Yes, they did. Live show, games, prizes, NFL legends.
500 bottles of beer on the wall.
And you can try them all.
And no wrong choices.
Well, trying all 500 week one, that could be a bad choice.
World of Beer. Beer as you have never experienced it before.
Come on, bro. That was my tag. Your NFL party awaits you at World of Beer.
World of Beer.
Really?
Calling all Gator fans. Time to get down and dirty in the swamp.
Tony to the end zone. Caught. Touchdown. Here comes Ramoso, and the Gators win. Jordan Matthews is a postseason hero.
ESPN Pensacola 1330 FM 99.1 brings you Go Gators every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Go Gators on ESPN Pensacola 1330 FM 99.1. Brought to you by the Holman Law Firm.
Guys, the secret is out. If you want healthy sex, your body needs nitric oxide. And now you can boost your nitric oxide production faster than you thought possible with Ageless Male Tonight, the absurdly fast formula from the #1 brand in male enhancement. Just take one capsule an hour before romantic activity. You'll get clinically tested ingredients that rapidly boost nitric oxide production, and it won't go unnoticed. Rush to Walmart and get Ageless Male Tonight.
Golic and Wingo.
A different host from ESPN Radio from around the country is going to make their pick in our Survivor pool.
This is Davis Allen from ESPN Pensacola, and my pick for the Golic and Wingo Survivor pool is Kansas City over the Jacksonville Jaguars.
That might be the toughest game on the board week one, and Pensacola is swinging with Hall of Famer Patrick Mahomes.
5 to 9 every weekday morning. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
You're listening to Pensacola's local and ESPN sports station. Your favorite ESPN radio shows, plus high school and UWF Argo football. ESPN Pensacola, 1330.
Sipping on straight chlorine, let the vibe slide over me. This beat is a chemical, beat is a chemical. When I leave, don't say my seat. I'll be back when it's all complete. The moment is medical, moment is medical.
Welcome back, Sports Drive. I'd much rather be sipping on straight chlorine than whatever is in this thing right here. I'll tell you that much. I do not know, but it is worse. That is pure gasoline, folks out there. 60% of the time, that works every time. But looking at some of the things going on here, Bryce Harper doesn't like Washington booing him. No, I'm not a heckler. We have some fun. I saw Josh Haddon down here, works with Clearway Pain Institute and the folks down here. Good guy. He's been a friend for a while. And Josh, we went out to the Wahoos game together, and he liked to heckle in a kind way. I mean, not like one of those like beep, beep, like every other word, like, I'm going to get your grandmother. And you're like, wait a second. Why are you attacking my family, man? But like people were, and first off, if you're going to heckle in baseball today, you better break out a Rosetta Stone. Because, like, I think about 70% of the outfielders are from either Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic. So, they're probably like, I don't know what he's saying, just like this guy sounds obnoxious.
That's
but,
a great point,
I'm just thinking in my brain, like, I'm going to get your kids ice cream after the game. He's like, I don't know what they're doing. But here's the deal. Bryce Harper was getting chewed out by Washington National fans, and he didn't like the heckling. I would just taking a page away from the Jim McElwain book of just canning it, zip it in the bud, kind of thing. Just like if Jim McElwain wouldn't have attacked the Shark Week like he would have, he probably eventually would have been gone anyway. But it would have been an easier transition and a more smooth one. This one right here, look, you make $250,000 per game. Think about that. Think about us all. Some people making minimum wage or whatever you're doing. The things that you would take for $250,000, and I'm not condoning. Like I said, I'm not one of these. And I remember I was raised, family in Boston. So between the Boston and New York rivalry right there, it gets a little loud. And you don't repeat some of those wicked awesome comments around the dinner table when you get up there. Even the grandmothers and the aunts are saying words. You're like, where did that come from? Potty mouth right there. Put some soap in her mouth. She's 85 years old. $250,000 per game. The things that you should take, and especially when you left a team, the days of the Cal Ripkens and the days of the people, it meant something to re-sign with that team and to win a title with that team, because Washington was on that short list of teams that had great rosters that never had won a championship, that never had won the World Series, that were waiting for that big moment. And you're building with the Anthony Rendones, Trey Turners. You get Max Scherzer. You pick up Patrick Corbin. You're able to go out there and get Steven Strasburg. All these guys as you build. And these young guys are becoming stars. Anthony Rendone's probably going to win the MVP this year. And Bryce Harper heads to Philly. And then Washington eliminates Philly. and Bryce Harper doesn't like the heckling. Sometimes that's where good old Brycey boy, suck it up. Suck it up when you're making $250,000. And like I said, that doesn't mean that I'm going to go out there and heckle people, but this is something where if you don't like it, do something about it. Yeah. And if anybody probably does deserve to get heckled, it would probably be you. And that's all I'm going to say on that matter.
Well, yeah, with the contract you have, you're pretty much supposed to be just perfection. If you're anything less than that, you're going to get heat. You just got to deal with it. Either you can do something about it, or you can just lock it out. That's all you can do.
But I mean, even with that, Jeff, it's not even about it's sort of how you leave. Any matter is how you leave. I mean, look, Albert Pujols gets a standing ovation every single at bat when he goes to St. Louis. He signed a 10-year deal with the LA Angels at the age of 70. But he already signed a 10-year deal. But he was loved. He won a World Series. He always acted accordingly, never got in trouble off the field, was a great teammate in a city that loves baseball at Busch Stadium right there. And he left where he's always going to get an ovation. Shaquille O'Neal, when he goes back to the Magic, ovation. There are some players that they're always going to be loved. He's the kind of guy, if Klay Thompson gets a max contract coming up here after a few years, people in Golden State will still always cheer his name and what he's part of. Bryce Harper left a team that was trying to get to that next level. This year has a legit shot of doing that, and he left them for more money and end up leaving. And like I said, that doesn't always condone heckling, but if one guy can take it, it goes back to me with Bryce Harper.
Yeah, but you're kind of anytime you go to Philly, and we've documented this before.
Yes.
He knows that. Hey, listen, I'm playing during the summer. There's no snowballs during the summer, so I can probably get by here. You go to Philly, you're going to get heckled. I mean, the fans are very impatient there. It's like throwing grass in the wind. If you're playing well, then they cheer you. If you're not, then they boo you. So that's not surprising at all that Bryce Harper's getting booed for going through a minor slump in Philly. But it is interesting that they now the Washington Nationals have won 5 games in a row. They're in pole position to host the wild card game. And let me tell you what, that's LA's worst nightmare because they've got a 3-man. If you look at the top 3 in their rotation, they can beat the Dodgers. And a lot of Braves are cheering too because they need a surrogate. They need a surrogate to beat the Dodgers, and because the Braves know they can beat the Nationals. So the Braves know they can't beat the Dodgers, but they know they can beat the Nationals. So get Nationals in there and win that 3-5 series against the Dodgers, and then the Braves beat the Nationals, and then they play Houston in the World Series.
And the good thing, too, and you can weigh in, Braves fans out there, we've got a lot of them. like to talk to Kevin Tasca, some of the Braves fans down here all the time, and one of the things that you look at the Braves, they have the right matchup. And what I mean that by St. Louis is you've got a bunch of guys, and they're playing great baseball. St. Louis is playing their best baseball coming in. You got Paul Goldschmidt. You got Marcell Ozuna. You got some of those guys back. But the difference is their rotation, when you look at St. Louis's rotation, it's a bunch of guys that have good stuff. Jack Flattery or guys out there like what you've seen in Daniel, Dakota Hudson, all these guys. But the difference is they're young. They're all in their early 20s, mid-20s, and none of them are proven in the postseason. And when you don't have proven pitchers in the postseason, it's a different story. That's why when you look right now, like you said with Washington, they went after a veteran in Patrick Corbin. They have veterans in Max Scherzer and Steven Strasburg. So they've got those, and really you need a 1-2-3 punch. And just an okay bullpen.
Because you can tighten your rotation.
Yes, and if you have to, you can go back to using a guy in Game 4 for 3 or 4 innings. If it's a must-win, you can go with a 1-2-3 and then go back to your 1 and 2 in like 3 or 4 innings each to get to the bullpen if you're trying to win a game. That's why Dave Roberts, even though he's always going to be loved, thank you for stealing that base in Boston, but Dave Roberts ruined that game. He completely ruined that game when he went with Yu Darvish. Yu was not the man in that one. In Game 7 against Houston, which probably was the best World Series. It won't go down as the names because Houston and L.A. really had nothing from a standpoint of any rivalry. Like, that's not a rivalry kind of like Red Sox-Yankees or Cubs-Cardinals or the games like Braves-Mets. They both were good teams, but Astros and Dodgers is not really, that name. So, but that was the best World Series I've ever seen. Every single game, remember, came down to the wire, 13 to 12 games. They were back and forth. George Springer, all those guys having huge moments. But you have Clayton Kershaw, the guy that's trying to prove to everybody that he can be the best pitcher in baseball. And the one thing that's holding him back from that is that he hasn't won that ring yet as the guy. And you have Game 7 at your home, and you start Darvish. And if you would have said, I don't want to pitch Kershaw on 3 days rest because he is worth $300 million to us, I would have been like, okay, I get it. I'm more of the fan with that impulse. Yeah, I got to pitch him. But if he's from somebody that tore my rotator cuff as a pitcher, so I understand it. But at the same time, they go with Darvish. He allows 5 runs within an inning. And then they put Kershaw in and to ease the pain, and I think they lost 5-1. Charlie Morton was lights out in that game. And Kershaw goes 7, allowing no runs after they're already out of it because of Darvish. That moment right there was like, if you're going to put him in the game, it's insulting not to start him in that moment. And that call to me, it was almost the same as Grady Little not going into the bullpen and leaving some of those guys like Pedro in a little deeper when the bullpen had not allowed a run for Boston and ended up costing them in the ALCS that got him fired. Sometimes those pivotal moments in baseball, those managerial moments, come down to that final moment and final wire, and he screwed things up. And in that matter, this year, Washington knows that they've got those aces. But St. Louis and Atlanta have rotations that are very similar in a lot of ways. And I would give the edge to Atlanta in the hitting department. Atlanta, if they get hot, could have the edge against anybody outside of probably Houston in hitting. But I'm telling you right now, it's going to be exciting to see because there's a lot of young, unproven pitchers that have had great records, great ERAs this year, but they haven't been in the big moment yet for St. Louis.
Yeah, I was going to ask you guys what you thought of the Braves' decision to sit Acuna for the rest of the season. He's at 41-37. Yeah. I mean, he's 3 steals away from being 40-40.
Well, then just
being
pinch
immortalized.
Let's pinch run him.
Being immortalized.
Yeah.
And they decided to sit him because they want to win the World Series.
Well, why don't you pinch run him and put him out in like the Groucho Marx? Like, keep putting him out there. It's like when those places that give free samples and I put on like my hat. Well, and then I put on a new T-shirt, and he's like, "Sir, you've been here 4 times."
What you got to do is dress Billy Hamilton up as Acuna. And let Hamilton steal.
Let him wear the Acuna. Yeah.
That's a good point there.
Yeah. Billy's going to play a role in that, but it's going to be exciting. And for Bryce Harper, you know what? I don't feel bad for you at all, and I don't think many people do. When you get $60,000 per at bat, and one game you actually strike out 5 times, that's over $250,000 that you received for doing something we all could do in this room and just look bad and strike out and whiff and walk back kindly and just go like this when I used to have hair. But, different story. When we come back, we're going to talk some of the college football games, NFL news and notes. Washington will not start Dwayne Haskins. It will not be a all-rookie battle. Damian Williams missing another game there for Kansas City. Melvin Gordon will play, but do they really need him? They're playing the Dolphins, so no. And we'll get to more on last night's game. Big victory right there as the Philadelphia Eagles are able to get it done coming through. Carson Wentz able to go out there, didn't have to do it all. Jordan Howard, who was down here not too long ago in Pensacola for the Studer Eye Light Up Learning event with Josh Sitton and some of the guys. Got to meet him. Great guy. Nice individual. And good to see he's got a home in Philadelphia as they've tried, I think, about 1,700 running backs in the last 3 years, it seems. Since Byron Westbrook is probably the last time, or when LeGarrette was smoking as a Philly blunt out there for the Eagles. We're coming back for more right here on the Sports Drive.
Does pain have you sidelined on the bench? Clearway Pain Solutions wants you back in the game. Our team of compassionate, board-certified pain specialists, chiropractors, and physical therapists will relieve your pain and restore your function. For comprehensive, patient-centered care, visit a Clearway doctor at one of our convenient locations near you. Call Clearway Pain Solutions today at 855-527-PAIN or visit our website at clearwaypain.com. That's 855-527-PAIN or clearwaypain.com.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
There's a lot going on right now, and broadcasters are on the ground covering all of it, bringing you the weather, the traffic, and breaking news, all while entertaining you 24 hours a day. Someone needs to tell you what's going on around the world and in our hometowns, and that someone is us. We are free radio. We are always there. We are broadcasters. Visit wearebroadcasters.com or text radio to 52886 to learn more. Furnished by NAB and this station.
Devotion doesn't settle. It doesn't stop at good enough. Devotion goes the extra mile. That's why when you shop the incredible selection of Pandora jewelry at Jared from December 6th through 10th, we'll include a free limited edition sterling silver bangle with any Pandora purchase of $125 or more. Because devotion deserves a little something extra. Just shop our Pandora collections online or find a store near you at jared.com and dare to be devoted.
Hello, everybody. You're looking live at Fansville, a college football utopia.
Fansville.
Where the rivers flow with ice-cold Dr. Pepper.
Delicious.
Where every day is Saturday and everyone's a fan, even babies.
Fan babies.
And the seasons never change because the only season is college football season. Get a taste of Fansville this fall during a college football game near you. Dr. Pepper, the official drink of Fansville. Grab some today.
Plants capture CO2. What if we could help industrial plants capture it too? Think how we could help lower emissions. More and more scientists think carbon capture is key to reducing CO2 emissions globally. It's one way ExxonMobil is helping industrial plants be more like plants. That's the unexpected energy of ExxonMobil.
You're listening to Pensacola's local and ESPN sports station. Your favorite ESPN radio shows, plus high school and UWF Argo football. ESPN Pensacola 1330.
And welcome back. Sports Drive with you right here. ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM 99.1 FM. I saw this today. It was pretty funny. It was one of those pictures that they have on Facebook, and they have obviously those fun liners. And it said, a man followed a girl into the bathroom and said, "Hey, I identify as a woman." And the daughter told her dad she was followed. And her dad said, "Well, I'm going to knock out his teeth." And he did. And he identified as the Tooth Fairy. So there you go. It's a good story right there for everybody to know, as you can identify as you would like to identify. And probably we'll do that for Leighton one day right there. I want one of those moments. Look, I'm not one of these kind of guys that walks around like Stone Cold Stunner, like bench, like waiting to where is he? There are some people that when you look at them, you're at the sports bar tonight or you're out downtown on Gallery Night, they're just looking. They're looking to brawl. They've already got the knuckles all powdered up and they're just ready. You bump into them on accident at the bar, what? Get up in your face and stuff. None of that. I'm not having that. But at the same time, if somebody did that, you bet your sweet you-know-what I would be right behind that and identified as the Tooth Fairy. Looking at some of the matchups coming up here in college football, look, one team that is not getting any love, and it's because I think we put a lot of teams into this group, and sometimes they can never get out of the group. Like for UCF, never, even though they lost and were not as good, but they'll never get out of the fake national title zone. Same thing for Wisconsin. The Badgers are always in that, they have a good record, but they never really play anybody, and they end up losing the games that count. And that's been true. But this team goes out there, throttles a team in Michigan. I'm sure I'll take crap over that for the Gulf Breeze Rotary for making that pick. That was a random last-minute throw in there, and Jim Harbaugh has been bitterly disappointing overall on that one. They're not a good team right now. But Wisconsin goes out there and they win, and they continue to be huge favorites. But here's a good stat for everybody out there. The teams in the top 10 right now, take a look at some of the things going on here. I'm going to read you the amount of 4- and 5-star recruits on the top 10 teams in the nation's roster right now. And you go, which one of these doesn't belong? Here we go. Clemson at 40. Alabama with 8 trillion. No, they 68, but pretty much everybody. Georgia, 60. LSU, 51. Ohio State, 59. Oklahoma, 49. Auburn, 46. Wisconsin, 9. Florida, top 10. You're like, where the hell did that come from? Florida, 39. And then Notre Dame, 47. So real quickly, 40, 68, 60, 51, 59, 49, 46, Wisconsin, 9. Florida, 39, and Notre Dame, 47.
So it's got to be the 68, right?
So clearly, Ohio State with 59 is doing more with it's Wisconsin. I mean, they continue to do more with less, and they have their system. You have the Army and Navy that you always know is going to go out there and they're going to run the triple option, and that's what you're going to get. Physical, they're never going to beat themselves. They're military, so they're going to go out there and they're going to be poised. They're going to be disciplined. They're going to do their assignment. They're going to be in shape. Yours are not going to have one of those bellied offensive linemen with their, gut hanging out over the side because they have a weight limit there in the military. But at the same time, or you have to keep in shape. Not too many DJ Fluker-looking guys in the military. But overall, you look right now at this group. Jeff, Wisconsin continues to get it done with more with less every single year.
Well, there's always been a ceiling, though, in Wisconsin. They would, be able to get to a certain point, and they just couldn't beat the elite teams. But, I bet you didn't mention Michigan because they've fallen out of the top 10.
Yes, they have, yeah.
But Michigan might have 45 or 50 what they call blue chip recruits, or that's 4- and 5-star athletes, as you mentioned. To Wisconsin's 9. Mm-hmm. And Wisconsin led them 35-0 last week, and could have probably beaten them 49-0 if they'd wanted to. So there's a lot more that goes into it than just the Jimmies and the Joes. Mm-hmm. There's the X's and the O's as well. And right now, Jim Harbaugh is just not getting it done at Michigan. It's almost dysfunctional. He skips around from offense to offense each year because he runs off coordinators because nobody wants to work for him. And he looks like a deer in the headlights during these press conferences now. I mean, it's just awful to watch. And I think Harbaugh is going to be probably not there much longer.
Do you see him at this point, if he does leave, Justin, if Jim Harbaugh is out, is there going to be an NFL team chomping to get him? Or at this point, is he going to just go ahead and do one of those and just – that sounded like a slide to the death right there. That's what that noise right there. It happens once in a while. Don't worry.
I'm trying to thump the
I mean, he'll definitely he'll be in the running. I mean, I definitely think he'll be definitely considered. Miami, look at where they're at.
The SoCan.
I mean,
close your eyes and point towards a crowd, and you're up for that job, right?
Is this the same Miami Dolphins that ran off Nick Saban?
Yeah.
Do you think Brian Flores was actually, like, through the process hired based on his accolades? Because remember, he was a Belichick protege, and everybody that's been a puppet of that, and when I say puppet, you might be a smart guy, I'm not, but Charlie Weiss, Josh McDaniels, Romeo Crennel, what Patricia's doing, even though they're 2-0-1 at this point, but looking like the homeless happy-go-more caddy. But all the guys out there across the board, none of them ever work out for the Belichick or really the Saban regime. The one that has is Kirby Smart. But Kirby Smart, you sort of saw on the writing on the wall, and he was there for a long time. He was the one coordinator you can look at with Saban and go, oh, you know what? That's the guy. Nobody's like, man, I really love Doug Nussmeier, or I really love Jim McElwain. It was more like, this guy knows what he's doing. It's more, we know it comes from the top. Do you think Flores was more of a move where it's like, okay, we can slide him in, but he's easy to get rid of if it doesn't work out because they knew they were going to have an awful year? Or was that legitimately the guy they want to be around in the future?
Definitely first option. Yeah, they're sliding him in and get rid of him later because, look at all these other coaches. They don't really have the greatest success. And then also, like it's kind of like the Patriot way. The players, like, they fit for their system. Mm-hmm. Same with the coaches. They fit for their system, but when they go to their own or a different system, it never really works out in the way they want it to. I look at Danny Amendola. You don't really hear his name much anymore when he's playing. You look at all those guys like Garrett Blount. He didn't really do much. He had a decent season at Philadelphia, but he's not even playing for anyone now. They fit for their system. That's what the Patriots do. They make you for their system and not really anyone else's.
I look at it, Jeff, and at this point, the Dolphins, I'm not gonna say they're tanking, but it sort of looks like they can do that on their own with their roster. Anybody that was good from Jarvis Landry, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Laramie Tunsil, Cameron Wake over the past few years is off that roster. I just named the 4 guys that probably were the most athletic, biggest names on that roster, and over the last 2 years, they're all gone. And when you look right now at the situation, it's bad. When you got a young quarterback like Josh Rosen, I don't think he's hideous when I use that word. Sometimes smug in the way he acts. But, overall, he's the kind of guy where if you put him in a system right now with the offensive line of Dallas and the weapons with Elliott and Cooper and some of the time that he has, I think it'd be okay. Okay. You put him in New Orleans or something like that. Put him in New England. Don't ever do that, by the way. But if any of this happens, you put him behind a horrible offensive line with no running game, with no receivers, with nothing around you, with an awful defense, and you're going to make a guy that's worried and nervous already to try to be a starter in the NFL even more petrified. And that's what you're dealing with right now.
Sure. I think Joe Rose made a great comment the other day. He said, this isn't a player tank or a coach's tank. Those guys are maxing out. This is a front office tank. This is a front office trading away everybody and trying to mortgage their present for the future. And Flores has got to be going I can't believe I bought into this thing. It's like, I wish Ron Zook was available or I wouldn't be here.
Isn't he a consultant somewhere in Illinois or something right now?
I think he is. So. I think he's like
one of those ancillary guys or something? Wasn't he working for a bank?
He was working for a bank.
Is he trying to get people to start investing with him up there? Is he was diversifying his portfolio right now?
He was actually a private wealth banker in Orlando, and he did a video of him skiing. And to try to impress potential investors.
He's up there with Lovie Smith, who actually looks homeless these days. But Lovie Smith, good. I mean, he's a nice guy. I've met Lovie
Illinois is
Smith,
a little bit better than they've been in the past, but not much.
But Lovie was out there, and it'd be funny, be like, Zook, what do you think of this player right here? And he's like 3rd down and 2. Be like, you know what I think is, you have a lot of money in mutual funds right now. I'd like you to diversify here and be like, what are you doing, bro? But I think right now for all those coaches, we should make a roster of bring back the coaches that gave you the most nightmares. Start forming a list of you got Charlie Weiss as your head coach. You can bring in Gene Chizik. Gene actually is pretty good on TV. I think Gene's a smarter man, but he never was really fit to be a head coach. He was 5-18 when he got hired at Iowa State. It was like when Mike Montgomery took over for Green Bay, and he had Aaron Rodgers, but Mike Montgomery was the offensive coordinator that year when he got hired from San Francisco, and the 49ers were dead last in the NFL.
Yeah.
How do you hire a guy? It's like whoever got Bell from Massachusetts last year, who was the coordinator at Wally Bell, the coordinator over at FSU. Walt Bell, yeah. I mean, he did a terrible job last year, and you hire him, and he's doing even worse this year at Mass. I mean, sometimes the writing is on the wall that you don't go after this guy, and
exactly.
I think that was pretty clear.
I'll tell you what, if you wanted a great show, you get John Steele and then call Ron Zook and have them
there you go.
trash talk each other.
That's right.
about investments.
Zook's like, good investment when Florida gave me a bunch of cash. That was a good investment. When we come back, we're going to talk a little more of the NFL. We'll get into some of the big games. And on this day, 11 years ago, Tim Tebow, the promise speech, he delivered as well. And we'll get to all those and more. The big moments bigger than sports itself. It all comes back right here. Big night of high school football tonight. Pine Forest and PHS will kick it off right there on Friday Night Lights. Looking forward to that. And we'll also get to more on Jacksonville. It looks like Jalen Ramsey has no more excuses. His kid has been born in Nashville, and he will be back playing football, I guess. Who knows? Coming back for more right here on the Sports Drive.
Hey, Chad here from the Sports Drive. JC and I had a blast this Thursday for the grand opening of Burger King's newest location on 9 Mile Road at University. Burger King brought the heat with its new chicken sandwich. JC enjoyed the Impossible Whopper, like the impossibility of his Dallas Cowboys making the Super Bowl. His waistline is glad he did. If you couldn't make it last Thursday, don't worry. Stop by anytime at Burger King's newest location, 9 Mile Road at University. Ask them to throw you some heat with their new chicken sandwich. Burger King's newest location, 9 Mile Road at University across from Target.
ESPN Pensacola is now on 1330 AM and 99.1 FM. This means you can hear ESPN Pensacola better than ever before with the same great shows like Golick and Wingo, the Dan Levitar Show with Stugatz, and the Paul Feinbaum Show, plus live and local sports on the Sports Drive with Chad Brilliante, Talk Football with Coach K, and Sports Call with Davis and Justin. The same station, an improved signal, and a new name. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 FM 99.1.
My family and I finally found the perfect apartment to rent.
My school is right down the block. Can we go to the park anytime we want? Yes, sweetie.
Then, after we were turned down, how was I going to explain? The landlord doesn't want families with kids in his building?
So we made a call to HUD and found out that's illegal.
If you think you've been discriminated against, call HUD at 1-800-669-9777 or go to HUD.gov/fair housing.
Fair housing is your right. Use it.
A public service message from HUD in partnership with the National Fair Housing Alliance.
Off season for SEC fans? Yeah, right. We show our team spirit year-round. Now, with the Collegiate Regions Visa check card, you can pay like it's game day wherever you go. And with Regions Next Step tips and tools, you and your Visa check card can go further. Regions is the official bank of the SEC, and we know greatness is in the grind. To learn more, visit regions.com/collegiate check cards. Regions, member FDIC. Terms, conditions, and fees may apply.
Guys, the secret is out. If you want healthy sex, your body needs nitric oxide. And now you can boost your nitric oxide production faster than you thought possible with Ageless Male Tonight, the absurdly fast formula from the #1 brand in male enhancement. Just take one capsule an hour before romantic activity. You'll get clinically tested ingredients that rapidly boost nitric oxide production, and it won't go unnoticed. Rush to Walmart and get Ageless Male Tonight.
When you became a truck driver, didn't you expect more freedom? No boss over your shoulder, the open road. It all sounded so promising. Instead, you still have someone telling you what to do and where to go. Where's that freedom? You can do better. Become an owner-operator and lease your business on with Schneider. With Schneider's Choice Lease, you pick your own loads and manage your business. Plus, take advantage of our limited-time lease-on bonus. Owner-operators who lease with Schneider get it. Visit SchneiderOwneroperators.com. That's SchneiderOwneroperators.com.
This is Davis Allen, co-host of Sports Call with Davis and Justin. Catch Justin, Patrick, and me every Saturday from 11 to 1. College football is finally back, so join us this Saturday from 11 to 1 on ESPN Pensacola 1330 FM 99.1. ESPN Pensacola is your home to UWF Argos football. Catch every game, home or away, on Pensacola's home for local sports. ESPN Pensacola 1330 FM 99.1.
You're listening to Pensacola's local and ESPN sports station. Your favorite ESPN radio shows, plus high school and UWF Argo football. ESPN Pensacola 1330.
Welcome back. Sports Drive with you right here. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM and 99.1 FM. Simulcast on Blab TV. I am Chad Brilliante alongside Jeffrey D. At one point, this shirt was tucked in with a suit. Now it just looks like I work at Carrabba's. But you know what? It's all right.
You know what? I like that look, though, Chad.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got the all black rocking. Yeah. Obviously, we're not on Blab tonight, so
that's right.
Nobody can see you.
Yes.
It really looks sharp.
It really works past midnight too when I'm trying to get. Oh, never mind.
Exactly.
Oh, shh.
Yeah. Just don't be down in the corner of Jefferson and Government.
There's a couple streets that don't see me either. And that lady's car. All right, let's get to. Speaking of that, by the way, what is a way not to become somebody that's a good team player? Stealing their watch. And apparently there's a teammate of your favorite team in Nice in soccer right there for France. I know we're going to all be celebrating that this week.
When I think Nice, I think of Jacksonville area.
Yes.
Tim Tebow's.
Exactly. Or a beautiful niece or daughter that you have, But OGC Nice, forward Lamine Diaby Fadiga, I'm sure I just butchered that, is facing, he's getting kicked off the team because he took Casper Dolberg. That's an easier name. Look at that, Casper Dolberg. Thank you, sir. Took his watch out of the locker. Like, they have security cameras, and why would you steal this guy's watch? It was a $70,000 watch, and he reportedly has to apologize. That's past at that point, Jeff, isn't there you're supposed to have a team building exercise when you're on a sports team? There really is no returning after that, is there? After you steal someone's watch?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Somebody's watch.
I don't think I'm open over here, but I'm not passing that. You know what? When we come back, we're going to take a look here at our Take It to the Bank picks. We'll get to more on Marty Brenneman's calling out Tommy Thrall. That was pretty cool as the next voice of the Reds. Tommy, great guy that we worked with for over the years. And awesome news.
We knew Tommy was going to make it.
Yes, he was. Yes.
He's got the voice. He's got the everything.
Coming back for more right here. One more hour on the Sports Drive.
Season has arrived, and ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM 99.1 FM is where the action is. Bringing your high school football every Friday night, UWF football on Saturdays, and the NFL on Sundays. If you would like to partner with ESPN Pensacola as a sponsor or promotional partner, give us a call at 262-6000.
ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Coming up in the second hour, we're going to break down some high school football moments that you can't believe actually happened in sports. And will Jalen Ramsey have another excuse in the bag?
Just become the NFL's all-time leading rusher. Across the middle, it is caught for the first. It's Baldwin shaking free and sprinting down the sideline for the touchdown. His third of the day. Doug Baldwin.
Derek Brooks, who ran back 3 interceptions for touchdowns in the regular season, does it to cement the Super Bowl.
Boxing's elite, the new WBA heavyweight champion of the world, Roy Jones Jr.
Ball's been beaten. The result has come up on screens that Gatlin's taken it. Goodness me, it was a blue American vest. 992 for Gatlin. 992 by the American champion to take gold.
Another Watson is wearing a green jacket at Augusta. And this time, his name is Bubba. Scores on a 34-yard touchdown run by the Doak Walker Award winner, Trent Richardson, who broke a lot of Emmett Smith's records back in Pensacola, Florida.
Welcome back. Sports Drive with you here. Second hour of the program goes now on this. It really feels like a Friday. It does feel like it this week. It's one of those. Maybe because, we're moving. We got to here. We're staying in Pensacola, but we're moving around. We got to, getting some boxes and doing a lot of things, as well as we're also getting ready for a busy weekend. We got the Seafood Festival in town. We got the NFL Sunday event going on right there at World of Beer. We also have a number of things. UWF's got their home game tomorrow. As what is not happening? We got high school football tonight. Justin is heading out there right now to call the Pine Forest and PHS game. So it should be a fun one overall. And joining us also something very important this weekend. It is his birthday weekend. Hey-oh, right there. Get the party started. As he's the kind of guy on his birthday that will buy you a drink. Jeff Davis joining us. Jeff, what's happening, my friend? And that's not like subliminal that you have to buy me a drink. I'm just saying I appreciate
no, but
you have throughout the past. I think
buy
yes.
you a drink.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or 7.
Yeah, we could. Next time we're downtown.
That was subliminal. Or 9. 12.
Exactly.
Tequila. All right, continue.
As many as you want.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Because we always have a
the
good
show
time
is archived. I'm going to play that as long.
We always have a good time when we go out.
Yes, we do.
And have a couple toddies and we invariably talk sports the entire time. And have a good time with and people in the bar will come up and talk sports with us.
And if we bring our wives, we got the hottie to the toddies. And there we go.
That's right.
There we go. I love
Tupelo
it. Right
hottie toddy.
That's good. Hopefully Brittany was listening to that segment.
Ole Miss cheer.
Just give that. But
yes, and if Brittany's listening, I want to make sure she knows that you are completely devoted to getting home as quickly as possible.
That is true. I will agree with that. And look, I remember when I used to host a morning show, sometimes it was zombie. I'll never forget looking at Ryan Bonifant, who's now at Jacksonville, and I remember walking over there, and the coffee pot was broken. And I got in there about 10 minutes before the show, and I was just in one of those moods. Maybe it would have been we went out the night before. Don't do that anymore now with kids and family and go to bed at 9:30. I'm not cool. I wake up and watch Paw Patrol in the morning. They were mighty pups this morning. But
Paw Patrol's not
it's
bad.
pretty fun. It's pretty cool. I don't look like Ryder anymore with the hair. But overall, when it comes down to that moment, I was ticked. I was like, where's the coffee? He's like, there's a place down the road if you want to get an energy drink. And I was like, just going to use this anger to rage to get. And it was not fun. Hosting a 6 in the morning show was not fun. But now, by the end of the day, there's some days that are tougher than others. You have those days. But, when we get done at 7, we have these conversations. But I'm like, look, Layton's going to bed at 7:15. I need to get home. Brittany's got a crock pot chicken. She usually sends like a pic of it. And I'm like, bye, adios. Jeff's like, hey, you shut the lights off on me. I'm like, out the door right now. But this Friday is going to be that same. I'm looking forward to it. We've got Virginia and Duke going on right now, as both of these teams are sort of in one of those kind of like, I think the perfect way to look at Virginia Tech and Duke this year, they're the perfect scenario for one of those bowl games you get early in December that somebody's like, oh, well, that's a new name of a bowl. I didn't know they played in the Bahamas. And they get to go out there. These are 2 7-5 type teams. And you know what? It should be fun, though, because it's a 2-point spread in this matchup, so we're expecting it to be close. That's good for sake of you want to watch a good football game, and Bud Foster smash some people with his blitz schemes. Should be fun.
It really should be. And if you look up and down the lineup tonight, there's of the 4 kind of marquee games, and this is a kind of a big college Friday. I mean, there's usually don't have this many quality games.
Herm Edwards playing to win the game at Cal.
Exactly, and 3 of the 4 are 1 touchdown spreads or less. And so should be interesting tonight to watch a little college football.
Looking forward to it. Penn State and Maryland will play as well. Mike Loxley's done a pretty good job. I was a little surprised on that. I didn't know enough about Mike Loxley to say, we talked about the pedigree of Saban, Belichick type people. It's early, but so far he's done a pretty decent job. They lost to Temple after just destroying a few teams. But overall, he's done a pretty solid job.
Well, they rolled up a 63-20 victory over Syracuse, which was kind of astounding. But lost to Temple. Temple's a pretty good team.
Yeah, they're a hoot to watch. Yeah.
They've got absolutely, and they've got 9 defensive starters back from last year on a pretty good team that Jeff Collins coached before he left for Georgia Tech. But that should be an entertaining game. Penn State's a touchdown favorite. That's the biggest spread of all the marquee games. But it should be fun to watch, and I wouldn't be surprised if Maryland won that game.
Looking at some of the things going on, you can weigh in 623-1330 on any of the games coming up here. I want to get to this story in baseball. Mike Minor yesterday, I'm watching the game against the Sox, as I usually do in studio. We were at the, got the Sox game on. Look, I only got a couple more games to watch of irrelevant baseball as they've completely missed on the postseason. And you want to talk about where the level is capped? Like Bama, it's boom or bust. You lose a game in the title, and it's like, well, that season stunk. Be like, you guys did go 14-0 before that game and broke every offensive record in the history of your game. Stinks. Because you got beat by Clemson. I mean, that's where the bar is set. And that's every fan out there. The ones celebrating Captain Fun, taking a couple Bama score shots, which you better designate a driver this week if you're doing it, because you will score a ton against the Hottie Toddies out there and the Smiling Black Bears of Ole Miss, because it will not be close. Sorry, Billy Harrell. But looking at the matchup here, I'm telling you, when you look at baseball, Boston fired Dave Dombrowski. They won the World Series last year. Or, we have to date back. Last year, they beat the LA Dodgers and won the World Series. And they fired their GM because they were only about 7 games above 500 this year. And where the Rays got a lot better.
Yeah.
And you also had maybe it's because the Orioles were so bad that they expected to win. But I'm telling you, that's where the bar was set overall. That's
very curious. To get back to your commenting on Mike Minor, and you didn't complete the thought.
No, it's not done yet.
What happened,
the show, though.
Yeah, but what happened was
the 200 strikeouts. Yes,
he had 199 strikeouts.
Yes,
there's one out left in his final game he's going to start during the season, and he had 2 strikes on the batter, and the guy popped up to the first baseman, and Minor starts yelling, "Drop it, drop it, drop it, drop it!" And so the first baseman, of course, they were out of the playoff race, so they. So he just drops the ball. And then this is in foul territory.
Yeah.
And then so Minor is able to strike out the guy with the next pitch. And that, to me, that doesn't sit well because, the reason Pete Rose isn't in the Hall of Fame is because he disrupted the natural course of baseball history by betting on the game. And people go, well, he bet on his own team. Well, yeah, he bet on his own team, but then he extended the closer 2 innings beyond what he needed to be 3 or 4 times, and people go like, what is he doing? And then it compromised their ability to win the season. One game is not important in a course of a 162-game season. But so if you're going to compromise your closer and risk him because you got a $25,000 bet on it, I mean, that compromises the natural course of baseball history. Mike Minor just did the same thing. And all those guys that took steroids did the same thing. This is not, there should be an asterisk next to this 200 strikeout performance.
That was pretty low. I mean, for him to say it, but I look at it. It really, this goes back to, sort of my philosophy on this show. You have to read the story and not the headline. You know what I'm saying? I was saying earlier, if you have something where it's like, Brilliante and Davis kill, and then that's the end of it. And you're like, oh, crap, what happened? Like, let's read this in the PNJ. And then, 12 font, it says kill to have the new Philly cheesesteak in town with extra onions or something. Like, you'd be like, oh, okay. They just want a sandwich. They just want to go eat a sandwich for lunch. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's okay. But the thing is, what they did here was if Mike Minor got $100,000 million bonus for hitting this, I don't think they would ever do that. That's a really ridiculous contract and a sweet agent if you can pull that. Be like, you give him extra $1 million for 200 strikeouts, extra $1 million. But if he got, let's say an extra $100,000 or something for this, regardless of what you and I think, that might be rolling through my mind if I'm like, okay, we're already way out of the playoffs. This game means nothing to our fan base. They get to have one of those standing ovation moments. Like, we watch Felix Hernandez got the loss last night. They got pretty much beat 3-0 when he got pulled, but the entire city of Seattle was pretty much there, and to celebrate in a right way. I mean, the guy 15 years was a legend there. He's a Hall of Famer. King Felix was one of the most dominant, if not the dominant pitcher in the game in the AL forever, and his career is now coming to an end. But if there was something outside of what we know, if I'm Mike Minor, I don't care what you think. I don't care what I think. I'm like, hey, look, I still got the guy struck out, even though C.B. Buckner called us a high strike after that. It wasn't even in the strike zone, which he called him strike 3. And there was a reason. The coach must have been on it because here's the deal with that, Jeff. Mike Minor had not thrown a game with more than 118 pitches, and he was at 124. So obviously he wasn't the only one, because if the coach wasn't aware, he would have come out on the mound and been like, you're gone in the inning. They would have put their closer in. So everybody, it seemed, was aware that he was trying to get to 200, and they sort of were like, okay, this is his inning to do it. And it didn't go down the right way. And thank God for him with the story piece that he actually got the strikeout. Because if he didn't and they hit a 2-run homer, whew, Lord knows how this story would have blown up. So I do agree with you. I think it's a pretty weak move. And if you're a competitor, Ronald Guzman should have caught that ball. I mean, I would have been like, I'm sorry, I'm just doing my job. But I look at it, too, as I don't know the whole story behind it, and I don't know how much money maybe that's worth. And maybe it'll never be public. And for that matter, I know it doesn't make it right. But, Jeff, if you are in here talking on the media the next day and I'm not going to lose my job, nothing can happen to me or my family except we made an extra $100,000 cash over something, I frankly would wake up the next morning and not care what anybody in the media has to think.
You know what? It's probably better if he doesn't have an incentive bonus, because then if say he had a $100,000 incentive bonus for 200 strikeouts, then the team would hold that against him. It's like he just robbed us.
Well, not if he had bought them all like new watches or something. Well, from the guy that robbed, he can get one from that guy that stole it in Nice.
Write the front office a big check and bribe them.
Yeah.
But I mean, the front office are the guys he's got to worry about. The guys on the field want him to get the 200 strikeouts. So maybe that doesn't sit well if there was an incentive bonus on the line. I don't think there was. I mean, there's no evidence that there was. I think he was just trying to get 200 strikeouts and be one of those 80 players in baseball history with it.
But because of that, the difference though is that moment, Jeff. It was only a 2-run game too. Like if it was a 13-0 game, I don't think anybody would be caring. This story might not even hold any ground. It'd be like, look, who cares? But when it comes down to it was a 2-run game, and if you get that guy on base, especially with Boston, they got some pop in their lineup. They've already scored 5 runs in the game, and the next guy comes up and hits a 2-run homer, then you're going to be pretty ticked off. And it's not going to change the course of Texas history, but those fans are paying tickets for them to win. If everybody had the demeanor, well, our season's over, we're not going, then why do you have one fan there? You know what I'm saying? Why would anybody pay a ticket if that's the demeanor? Like, well, this means nothing. Then why do people want to show up for something that means absolutely nothing? They do. It's being a loyal fan to your city and your team that always wants to show up and win. It's like when Jeff calls, he always starts it with, I don't care how the Panthers or the Rays or whatever, but I want them to win this week. And he's even rooting on the Dolphins and all the Jags when they stunk. That's what loyalty does for your fan base. This is the last week of Major League Baseball, and there are a lot of teams that are putting some bum rosters together. But the fan base is still showing up. It might look half empty, but watch baseball. I'm watching the Rays right now. That's what the Rogers Center always looks like, it seems. But here's the deal is we just need to get to a point where we realize that I personally would like to know what it was for. Was it just for 200 or was there something extra to it? Because if there wasn't, then that's pretty sad,
Yeah,
I know,
but again,
either way, it's not the right way to do it.
But it's and maybe I'm coming from the kind of baseball purist view as an older guy, older than you are, older than the millennials are that are watching baseball, and maybe they want these, to see Mike Minor, call off the first baseman, tell him to drop the ball, so they can set a record. Maybe they want unusual things like that to happen, but the old timers want, and the guys, most of the guys that vote, for the Hall of Fame, are old curmudgeons that want the things to be done right and things to the natural course of baseball history not to be disturbed.
See, how my brain thinks. I would have made sure, I would have been right before Guzman was about to catch it. I would have been like, I got it, and ran into him on accident. Mistakenly, but like, whoa, look at that. And he'd be like, what the heck, bro? Like, I didn't hear you on that one. And be like, well, that was miscommunication right there. Everybody ran into each other. Looked like he speared him into the dirt, but, goes out and tackles Guzman. I didn't even see, I couldn't see in the lights. But, yeah, that would have been at least maybe more of an excuse than everybody in the national public talking about you. Golick and Wingo, Levitard, I'm hearing all the shows they're talking about today.
There's kind of a mixed reaction.
It is.
It's nobody, comes down strong.
He's this week's Matt Kuchar. when he didn't pay, when he decided.
Matt Kuchar was clearly in the wrong.
Yes,
and he's trying to make amends for it.
Yeah, but the guy thought he was getting paid. He said that was pesos and not, and just saying it wasn't supposed to be in United States dollars. Coming back here, we're going to get to more on, not on currency, but we are going to talk a little more about the NFL, college football, the games of the week, the must-see TV, and we're going to ask Jeffrey D. what his best game of the week is. It's all coming back right here on this Friday edition of the Sports Drive live on ESPN Pensacola.
Local sports radio doesn't stop on Fridays, which is why we bring you Sports Call with Davis and Justin.
College football, NFL, the MLB playoffs, UWF football. We're talking about the big games and sporting news every Saturday from 11 to 1.
Plus, interviews with the athletes, coaches, and fellow journalists.
Sports Call with Davis and Justin.
11 to 1 every Saturday on Pensacola's home for local sports, ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
This is Tort Talk with personal injury lawyer Terrence A. Gross.
Lately, a lot of out-of-town lawyers have advertised here in Northwest Florida. I have practiced here for over 40 years. We now have 5 offices to serve the victims in the Panhandle: Pensacola, Navarre, Milton, Crestview, and Fort Walton Beach.
Tort Talk is brought to you by Terrence A. Gross. Call 434-3333 or check him out at grossandschuster.com.
There's a lot going on right now, and broadcasters are on the ground covering all of it, bringing you the weather, the traffic, and breaking news, all while entertaining you 24 hours a day. Someone needs to tell you what's going on around the world and in our hometowns, and that someone is us. We are free radio. We are always there. We are broadcasters. Visit wearebroadcasters.com or text radio to 52886 to learn more. Furnished by NAB and this station.
Make new memories this summer at Harley-Davidson of Pensacola. Owning a Harley is easier and more affordable than ever because at Harley-Davidson of Pensacola, they say WTF. That's right, they are willing to finance. Bad credit, no problem. The Harley-Davidson experts will get you financed. Discover your inner child again with the freedom that owning a Harley brings. Harley-Davidson of Pensacola. Let's ride.
Dave Ramsey here. A home is a great investment. And whether you're buying a home to live in or as a rental property, great floors are a must to keep up that investment. The Floor Store on 9 Mile in Pensacola has great brand name flooring like Mohawk, Cortec, Dreamweaver, Shaw, and more. Plus, the Floor Store sells and installs wood floors, tile, luxury vinyl, and carpet. And they do showers and baths, kitchens and backsplashes, mosaic tiles, and fireplaces. The Floor Store's designer, Andrea, loves flooring. She designs your flooring to create the biggest impact and durability. But when you buy flooring, you might want it installed right. And that's where Rodney comes in. He came to the Floor Store bringing over 30 years experience as a residential contractor. The right quality, the right design, and the right installation. The Floor Store, located at 312 East 9 Mile Road. Check them out at shopthefloorstore.com.
The Paul Feinbaum Show.
Everything you wanted to happen hasn't happened.
Oh my gosh, that's all any of y'all want to talk about is Alabama.
You're really not understanding the conversation, but anyway, we can move on.
Alabama's dynasty has just begun.
Hold on a second, Charles. Somebody wants to talk to you.
I don't want to talk to that compelling moron. He's nothing but a lame-head old man.
2 till 5 every weekday afternoon. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
You out of your freaking mind, cow turd.
You're listening to Pensacola's local and ESPN sports station. Your favorite ESPN radio shows, plus high school and UWF Argo football. ESPN Pensacola 1330.
And welcome in here to the Sports Drive right here on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM and 99.1 FM. Chad Brillante with you, having some fun as we are broadcasting live from down here on Plantation Road, enjoying our day. Jeffrey D. joining us, Jeff Davis. It's his birthday week, so looking forward to that. Florida against Townsend. Real quickly, I'm not going to do a 4-hour synopsis on this game. They should win.
No, they should win.
They should win
I think the bootleg line is 33.
Okay, yeah.
But
the moonshine line is 70.
You can't get a normal casino line on
no,
it. You got to go offshore.
Yeah.
But
got to make a fun call on that.
But Towson has a very, very good offensive group. Their quarterback is Tommy Flacco, little brother of Joe Flacco.
Well, there you go.
He's a pretty doggone football player, and they've got 3 or 4 receivers that are high quality guys, and so they can move the football, and so it could, don't be surprised if this game's relatively close at halftime.
And that's one guy, if you look at it, Jeff, where like most quarterbacks from a Townsend or someone like that, you're like, we're okay, but if you see a name like Flacco, you're like, wait a second. Look at his brother won a Super Bowl and he went to Delaware. Is this some kind of decoy? Like, is he going to come out there and throw for 4,000 yards against? Like, you got to be careful. That's one name you wouldn't want to see in the back of a jersey if he's at a small college, in that moment right there. Looking at your former coach, you might have heard of him. His name is Will Muschamp. He's made some fun comments before, but apparently, just be careful. There's a few people like Nick Saban and Will Muschamp. Don't ask him what a Padawan is, and also, don't ask him the question, do you consider this a must-win game when he's at home this week against Kentucky? Because this is what Will tell you.
Well, with the 1-3 start and 5 straight.
The computer will load here. This is happening live here. So this is a pinwheel on us here. So, somebody has started. You're getting
losses to Kentucky.
Here we go.
How much pressure is on this coaching staff right now to win this game Saturday?
We have pressure every single week. Every single week, there's a lot of pressure. And you know what? There's more pressure internally than there is externally. I can assure you of that.
Do you consider this a must-win game Saturday?
They're all must-win games. Every single game. You know what next week's going to be? Well, it's where we're open. The next week's going to be must-win. And we need to kick Open's ass, too.
That's a great line because, the guy was trying to, trap him.
That's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, that's bad journalism. It's bad reporting to ask him if it's a must-win game and try to make a coach embarrass himself.
It's pretty weak. I mean, look, in broadcasting and journalism and things like that, we got the fun part. Honestly, I've worked as, play-by-play where, you can't get off too far off the beaten path. When it comes down to journalists, they're actually there at the games usually because, they got the interviews and the quotes they say are the ones that are going to be in the paper. And they've got, they have to watch every play to write a good article. The radio guys, for the most part, we're up there. I'm checking out what's at the upstairs. When we're at the Army-Navy game, Rob Brown and I are up there checking because they had like 15 different cheeses going on in the Philly cheesesteak bar they had up there. It was amazing. But the radio guys get to sort of be all we do is watch the game. And even if you fall asleep part of the game, which you're not, but if you did, you can go back and watch the highlights and assess what's happening. Especially a market like this where we talk about 15 different teams. And we can go talk about South Carolina, then go back to UWF, LSU, Bama, Auburn, all the teams, Florida, Florida State, Saints. That's the cool part about the market we're in, LSU, everybody. So the difference, though, is when you take a look here at a comment like that, like this guy is getting paid to be a journalist to come in there and ask a question. And, it's one thing. You don't have to get too far into the numbers. The quarterback percentage was 64%, and this week it was 58%, and last week it was 52%. You're like I want to hear a good question. Hey, Kentucky's got a new quarterback in Sawyer Smith going to a hostile environment. He's done a tough job under pressure. He's got a good arm. If you give him time, he makes throws of over 20 yards down the field. He makes those big throws. What are you going to do to key in on the pressure? And have you seen that and adjusted to that at practice? That's a question that he can answer. Okay, yeah, we've been working this week. Our defensive line, we've done a number of blitz schemes. Expect us to really change that around. That's an actual question. If it's like, Will, why are you wearing red and not black? Why are you wearing that color maroon? Where's your black? You're like, what is this? What kind of question is this?
You can ask a coach, what he plans to do to win the next football game. But if you start using hypothetical questions like, is this a must-win? You have to win this game or you're going to get fired. You can't answer that. We don't know if you're going to win the next game or not. You're going to try to win the next game. So I think we'll answer that the best way.
So this guy does have a job, though, in Tallahassee to ask that to Willie Taggart next week. No matter what.
Well, there's actually a couple of aggressive Florida State reporters that work for War Chant, like Corey Clark and Alson Hutchavandi, and they go and ask tough questions, but they don't ever step over the line and try to embarrass the coach.
Jeff, do you think it would be a crossing the line or be a bona fide nice move for your team? And based on what Willie Taggart said, he clearly said that the players were not hydrated. in the second half in many of their games. Would it be a bad look if everybody started to throw, like how people do, they throw after a hat trick, everybody throws their hat on the ice. If everybody threw like a bottle of Dasani to the sidelines in the third quarter, like everybody in Florida State, they got together and they were like, here you go, and everybody threw. Maybe they do it in a way, too, where it's like a kinder bottle where it doesn't hurt them as bad. Maybe it's half full, so it doesn't actually hurt the players. But everybody in unison,
do they have
throws.
Dasani bottles?
That's what I'm saying, or whatever bottle. It doesn't matter. It doesn't. I mean, it's equal opportunity. I don't know if they're Coca-Cola or Pepsi brand. So whatever it is, they just throw water onto the field and everybody claps. So to make sure that they have enough around there where all the players can be okay.
It's probably a pretty good idea.
I think that would be not a bad idea.
Yeah,
That'd
exactly.
be
I mean, that was another one of those leading questions that, in fact, the same reporter asked the head coach and the assistant coaches and the players the same question about being hydrated, and he got really 6 different answers. And of course, Taggart, not thinking, kind of steps into it a little bit and says like, we'll check and make sure that we're hydrating those guys well enough, and then it takes off, and everybody thinks, oh, Willie Taggart's not hydrating his players.
So if you get into broadcasting, don't do this.
Well, with the 1-3 start and 5 straight losses to Kentucky, how much pressure is on this coaching staff right now to win this game Saturday?
We have pressure every single week. Every single week. There's a lot of pressure. And you know what? There's more pressure internally than there is externally. I can assure you of that.
Do you consider this a must-win game Saturday?
They're all must-win games. Every single game. You know what next week's going to be? Well, it's where we're open. The next week's going to be must-win. And we need to kick Open's ass too.
Will looks like he's he's the kind of guy. What did Florida fans with Will Muschamp compare to Jim McElwain? Where's the meter of welcoming him back for? I think either of them.
I think Gator fans would put Muschamp above McElwain, and Muschamp just never really opened up the offense. And
he's from Gainesville, isn't he? Muschamp.
He grew up in Gainesville.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he wasn't from Gainesville, but his family transplanted there, and then they moved somewhere else. So he ended up, going down to meet with Steve Spurrier to see if he could get a preferred walk-on. Mm-hmm. And Spurrier was supposed to meet him at a certain time and didn't show up. And so he went to Georgia, and they did show up, and the rest is history because he ended up starting for Georgia in the secondary for a couple of years. But Muschamp's a good guy. He's a great defensive coordinator. He's a pretty good recruiter. He had pretty good recruiting classes at Florida. They always had talent, especially on defense. But you lose games 17-14 because he wouldn't unleash the offense. And you always had, mediocre offensive coordinators. They get in practice. It'd be kind of the reverse of what you see at Florida State now, where he'd want the defense to dominate. And so it's like, can y'all be a little bit not very good on offense, and so we can dominate you?
He's actually under investigation for tampering with the play calling of Freddie Kitchens on that 4th and 9 call a few weeks ago for the Cleveland Browns. So, they're just like, Will Muschamp must have been talking to him on that. But I remember watching a couple Gator games and watching 3rd and 14 draw plays when they were down like 7 in the fourth quarter. I mean, to me, that is the epitome. Look, if you're getting blown out or your team is in one of those games where, frankly, you know that the secondary is owning you, or you have a bigger offensive line, or you really, truly believe that you can catch people off guard with a run. But I've never been a fan. If you're back at your 1 or 2 and you're just trying to play the field position game, I get it. But, the teams that they're down by 10 and they're at like the 40-yard line, and it's 3rd down and 14, and they're running a draw, and you're like, what are you doing, bro? Like, get off the field if you're going to give up like that.
Well, here's what, Will would receive the opening kickoff and try to get it up to the 25-yard line. And then he'd try to grind out 1 first down, and then maybe get into like a 4th and 2 at the 43 or something, and punt the ball down inside around the 10-yard line, have a guy call for a fair catch, and then he really enjoys it because he can watch his defense play.
Yeah.
He didn't really care about scoring.
So might as well punt on first down. Just punt on first down and have some fun with it.
That's what he wanted to pin the other team deep and play, field position football. That works in the NFL, but it doesn't work in college.
Looking right now at the Jags, they aren't willing to shut the door on Jalen Ramsey playing Sunday just yet. Ramsey hasn't been with the team since Wednesday because he was in Nashville for the birth of his second daughter, but the team listed him as questionable for the game. Now, before that, he had the flu, he had a lower back issue. I think he got caught up in traffic on the highway. I can't make the game on Sunday. It's Tuesday, but bad traffic going on here. Like he had pulled them all out. Now this is not one of these. If you're going to tell a white lie or like the dog ate the homework kind of thing, you probably don't want to go down the path of like, I'm having a kid, because that can be researched or Googled or anything of that matter. Like you could call the hospital and be like, is this son born? You know what I'm saying? Like that's not so obviously this happened. This is an actual, unless he paid some lady to like look like, oh, look at the kid right there. Look at him playing with it. Well, he must have had a kid this week. That's why he was out of practice. But overall, like this happened. But everything else leading up to this, he just doesn't want to be a Jag. But Gardner Minshew's out there broing out. He was hanging out with Uncle Rico from the Napoleon Dynamite today, throwing those footballs over the mountains, having some fun out there. And they're still not getting some love. Denver must paid off Vegas they're a 4.5-point favorite this week. Every week they're like a 2-point underdog, and they're not that good of a football team. The Broncos are not good this year. But you look right now at that game, they're a 4-point underdog to the Denver Broncos, and Minshew just showed that he was pretty good. Now Denver's always a tough place to play, but I don't know. I like Jacksonville to win this game, and I like Minshew to continue to play the way he has.
Well, the Broncos have lost 3 close games. The Broncos aren't that bad of a football team, and they've got some very good defensive personnel. I'm not sold on Gardner Minshew. I mean, he's got a nice stash and great jorts, and
he's a good story. He's a good story.
People accuse Florida, University of Florida, of having a bunch of fans that wear jorts. I've never even seen anybody in jorts in Florida. So, it's funny how that kind of perpetuates itself. But that being said, Gardner Minshew was wearing jorts. And he looked great. I mean, he looks great. But I'm not sure he's that good a quarterback. I mean, the 2 games he started, they've scored, 12 points and 20 points. So they're averaging 16 a game under Gardner Minshew. I mean, we're going to knight this guy? I mean, claim him as the greatest player of all time?
To me, he's the reverse Jimmy Buffett. He's the reverse Jimmy Buffett song. He is a temporary reminder of a permanent feeling. Meaning, like, we all want to live like, or if we could just all like walk around being like, yeah, man, like just chilling, giving hugs to everybody, wearing a stash, being an NFL quarterback, family cheering, high-fiving everybody, like just living the life. He's on every network show, and just everybody loves Gardner Minshew right now. It is everybody wants to be that, but he's a temporary because we don't know how long this is going to be. If this is going to be Jeremy Lin. Remember, Ryan Fitzpatrick last year with Fitzmagic was out there throwing for 400 yards, dressing like Conor McGregor in some Sopranos jumpsuit with big gold chains, and everybody in Tampa was like, maybe he's the real deal. He's only been on 10 teams, but, I mean, this is it. This is the one. And then all of a sudden, next week they lose and they get crushed, and everyone's like, oh, crap, he's not that good. That's sort of what you got here in this situation. So I don't know. Minshew could be that guy. I'm rooting for him. I hope he does well. He seems like a pretty cool dude, but I don't know. We're not ready to judge. Like Nick Foles is gone, and now this guy's going to step in. 6th-rounder from Washington State is going to step in and be the next hero. It can happen. Quarterback's one of those positions in the NFL. We've seen guys that we didn't know step into a role and become great, but one game against the bad Tennessee team last week is not one that we're ready to jump ship.
Yeah, and you mentioned Jalen Ramsey, I think, as well, didn't you?
Yes.
He to me, he's kind of a head case. He's kind of the defensive version of Antonio Brown.
To me, he's like Odell Beckham, though. He seems like a nice guy. Yeah, Jalen seems like an okay dude when he's
a kind of a bragger,
a diva, like about himself though a little. Yeah.
So I mean, he's a great football player, but he needs to kind of like settle down a little bit and play football and be a team player and not be it all about him. I mean, he makes it all about himself, and you still do that. I mean, you're Antonio Brown's defensive version.
Right now, at the end of the first quarter, we got ourselves a shootout if it was soccer. Virginia Tech 3-0 over Duke right now in the first quarter. It's
that's more of a defensive struggle
than
we
we
thought.
Expect. Yeah,
the
game at 7, Penn State, Maryland. We'll probably have a little fireworks.
Hopefully,
now.
Hopefully,
it's not cold yet. It's not one of these games where everybody is burrowed up there in Big Ten country. Like you can still run. I'd take it if I played Big Ten country. I'd be like salivating to get these games where you're just going far, because there will be those games coming up where it's going to be where you can't see 20 feet in front of you and run, maybe punt if you can kick the ball where it doesn't break your toe because the ball is like a rock. So at this point, enjoy the 70, 80 degrees that you get while we suffer in 94.
Yeah, we'll see what Maryland we get this tonight.
Yeah.
Do we get the 63-point drop down on Syracuse, or the 17 points they scored against Temple last week?
It's just a sweet irony that a turtle will be running such a fast-paced offense. Exactly. When we come back, slow but steady. Doesn't always have to win the race. Coming back for more right here. It's the Sports Drive off and running on this Friday evening. Coming up here, we got high school football as Justin Patrick will have the call. Joe off. He is on vacation. And we will have the call there with Pine Forest and Pensacola High. So looking forward to hearing Justin right after we get done at 7 o'clock with a historic game right there. Jeff, I know you had a couple of your kids that went to PHS. So, Tiger.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I've got, I've still got one there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, there you go.
So, yeah, I mean, hopefully the Tigers can get the win tonight.
Should be fun. Looking forward to that game. And also tonight, Seafood Festival going on downtown. So be safe.
Seafood Festival downtown is packed with patrons and not very many parking places. So get down there and get there as early as you can for the tonight's festivities.
I heard they have a lot of Italian and Chinese food down there. So
they did.
That's right. Huge. Just a lot.
Tremendous
of
amount of everything down there.
Might be able to even get
lots of
seafood too.
Yeah, exactly. Some crawfish and some Cajun specialties.
Because that is one thing. We cannot get seafood where we live. So you need to go if you want to try seafood for the first. No, they actually have really good seafood. And they're all in one spot. You don't have to be driving around or get a reservation. It's right there. It's good food too. And they give portion sizes. Like you can sample, all of them are in there. It's a good time. It's always fun. And they got artwork. They got festivals going on for the kids painting. The Fiesta group was down there. I saw some of the pictures earlier. It's just going to be an awesome time. Good night to be out town. Be safe out there. Leave it a half hour early to try to find a parking spot and just enjoy your day. I'll be going home. Coming back for more right here on the Sports Drive.
Just felt there's a huge need in Pensacola to bring foot and ankle services, specifically orthopedic foot and ankle services, to this area. There's so much growth in Pensacola. I wanted a freestanding orthopedic foot and ankle center to do this. And as far as I can tell, this is the only one really in the country that's freestanding. Most orthopedic surgeons are part of a multi-specialty group. So we offer on-site x-rays, on-site CT scan, and on-site MRI. They can come to one place.
Visit NielsenOrthopedics.com to reserve your appointment today. Bowling is a sport that will last you a lifetime, and at Cordova Lanes on Airport Boulevard, every night there is something exciting happening. Like on Tuesday and Thursday, it's penny a pin. Bowl 100, pay $1. Or how about starting your weekend off right by reserving a lane for just $25 at Moonlight Bowling. Enjoy a fresh-made pizza and the lowest pitcher prices in Pensacola. So what are you waiting for? It's time to roll your way into Cordova Lanes and experience fun like never before.
Welcome to Bowl! Okay, hi, what are we doing today?
I need something that screams something fun. Nothing too on the face, nothing too off the face, but also totally hot.
So I have the perfect thing. It's the most food mullet. You're totally business in the front, but tailgate in the back. It's a fat party. People are having fun. Snap. All your friends are going to be like, whoa, awesome setup. Everyone else is going to be all jelly, okay?
Just like a killer mullet, Moe's Catering will turn the back of your ride into a tailgate party that's sure to turn some heads. Just order ahead and pick it up on your way.
Moe's Southwest Grill, now open in Pace on Highway 90 next to Publix grocery store.
Friday nights in the fall are a magical time. It's Friday Night Lights, where new stars are born, where agony meets victory. ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM 99.1 FM and sister station News Radio 92.3 AM 1620 brings you all play-by-play coverage during the week's best matchup. We are football. We are Friday Night Lights. This Friday night at 7, the Pensacola High School Tigers host the Pine Forest Eagles right here on ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM 99.1 FM.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
As a single mom here in Santa Rosa County, I'm voting for the penny tax because my son will have a better community to grow up in. From the YMCA and parks to recreation and bike paths, he will have a safe place to be a boy. For a safe and fun childhood for your kids and mine, please vote for the penny on October 8th. This penny will replace the current half-penny tax and will end in 10 years. Please vote for the penny on October 8th.
Political ad paid for by Moving Santa Rosa Forward.
You're listening to Pensacola's local and ESPN sports station. Your favorite ESPN radio shows, plus high school and UWF Argo football. ESPN Pensacola 1330.
And welcome back. Sports Drive with you right here. It is 6:42, having some fun. I'm going to wear our headphones like Jay Gruden for the rest of the show right there over there. What does it have in there?
CO2, coconut water, 100% pure, is unsweetened. It has electrolytes. It has plant-based hydration. That means I think they squeezed a cactus, maybe?
Yeah, I think there's words, and they actually do work when I say this. They're not made up. I'm not one of those people like, this is stupid. It doesn't make any sense. Like, plant-based, though, is the new gluten-free. You know, like, it used to be like gluten-free. People didn't even know what it was yet, but people were like, I don't eat gluten. I'm good with that. I don't want gluten. Or back in the day, it was, I don't like MSG on my food, even though I think that's a myth. But overall, everybody ate Chinese food, and they're like, oh, the MSG, I'm so tired. It was like an excuse not to go back to work. Now the new one is plant-based, everything. I saw chips out there. Looking on the back, Doritos had just as much calories as this bag of guacamole chips, but it said plant-based, and people are like, must be delicious and good for you as well. Like,
well, what's
looked like a
interesting
regular
is
Dorito to
they're
me.
advertising coconut water, but the coconuts on the front are green.
It's a little confusing, yeah.
I mean, generally a coconut is brown. I mean,
Looks like edamame that has been.
I mean, a green tomato is a good thing.
Yes,
But
I would
maybe
eat a
not
fried green tomato if you put that in a
But
can.
if you told me that you're going to make this this juice out of green coconuts, I probably would.
Well, based on that, I'm not going to drink the rest of that. That was a waste of money.
In fact, you haven't consumed very much of it. I think you've, out of this 20-ounce can, you've probably got 16 ounces left.
Oh, no. I would say 19.8. It was like 0.2 of the sip to go, and I couldn't take that back. It's
Gotcha.
still, the rest of that is not getting drunk. But here's the thing. Overall, let's get to one of the moments right here in Spread'em. Hopefully this is not happening to you with the Cops tonight. So we're going to take a look here at all the big games coming up in college football. When it comes to Spread'em, if it's happening after you get home, whatever, hey, do what you need to do. Looking at the other games, let's start off here with tonight's game. Penn State and Maryland, Jeff. I'm going to go with Penn State. I think that they got a better roster. Pittsburgh, not just saying this as a UCF night, I think is a better team than people are making out. When they had a tough game against Pittsburgh and people were like, oh, Penn State might not be that good. I think Pittsburgh's better than people think this year. Maryland, I think that they took advantage of some really bad defenses their first couple weeks where they broke a record for how many yards and how many touchdowns they had. Remember, you texted me they had 42 points against Syracuse in the first half. It's not going to happen against Penn State. Penn State might not be as good as they've been in the past with Saquon Barkley and some of the teams, but Sean Clifford still can throw the football, and they're ranked number 12 in the nation for a reason. I got Penn State winning this game, and I think they cover the 6.5. Give me the Nittany Lions in this matchup to win 34, Maryland 24.
You know, not a bad selection there, but I'm gonna differ from you slightly. I'm gonna take Penn State to win, but it's gonna be by a narrower margin, and I think that Maryland will cover. I'm gonna go 31, Penn State 27.
Okay, moving on here to our next game, looking at tomorrow, Ohio State. The Buckeyes, they really have, we didn't know, two quarterbacks who were very intriguing during the offseason were Justin Fields and Jalen Hurts. Both of them had, the accolades to go with their past. Justin Fields out of high school is a 5-star top-ranked guy, and the same with Jalen Hurts being the SEC Offensive Player of the Year before he was humbly sat there and just a great dude overall. And I think most of the country, outside of like a Texas fan, is rooting him to have a great season in Oklahoma. But they have a game in Ohio State where they're taking on Nebraska and the 3-1 Scott Frosters. In this matchup right here, Buckeyes are a 17-point favorite. I'll let you start it off. It's a 6:30 kickoff on ABC. at Lincoln Memorial.
You know, some of the advanced computer models show that Ohio State should win this game by 11.5 points, and I've seen 2 or 3. And this was way out of the lane. The public has bet this thing up to 17.5. I'm taking Nebraska in those points all day long.
And Ohio State has dominated their opponents, but in this matchup, I think it's going to be loud. Adrian Martinez at home. Remember, I feel like hasn't he been there like 45 years, it seems? It's Adrian Martinez.
Only 2. It's his second year.
I was going to say, there was another guy named, they've had a couple quarterbacks in a year, but Adrian Martinez, it feels like he's been there forever, but he's going to go out there this year and have an opportunity. And I'm looking at this one as Nebraska keeps it close for a little while. Ohio State pulls out, and I think they end up winning this game 41-21, and they do cover the 17 points. Looking at the matchup here between one that a lot of people are going to be intrigued about based on Texas A&M and Arkansas in the SEC, not really around the country. Arkansas is a bad football team. It is a 23.5-point spread. Remember, this is on a, quote, neutral game in Jerry Dome. Jerry went to Arkansas. Texas A&M, obviously, big supporters of the Dallas Cowboys. Looking at this matchup, though, Texas A&M has to take advantage of these games because their schedule never gets easier. When you play Clemson, Alabama, LSU, Auburn's, you need to win the games against Arkansas, and they're a big spread and a big favorite for a reason. I like Texas A&M to win this game, and I think they cover. I think you're looking at a score of this one of 48-14.
I agree with you. I think they win the game and cover. Arkansas has resembled they lost to San Jose State in Fayetteville, and they've resembled the proverbial dead rag. and so 23.5 is not enough. I think Jimbo Fisher wants to unleash things a little bit. He's been criticized for playing it close to the vest. It doesn't let Kellen Mond run like he and take advantage of all his talents. I think you'll probably see him take off on some keepers in this game. I think let me take Texas A&M to win that game by about 30 points.
When we come back, we'll take a look at Mississippi State Auburn, the big game everybody, as Mike Beaudry, former UWF quarterback, taking on UCF, the game everybody might actually accidentally turn on to on ESPN2. And we'll get to more on the matchup right there. Townsend in Florida, big party at Seville Quarter tomorrow for the Northwest Florida Gator Party. It's also Jeff's birthday weekend too, so if you just want to buy him a drink, I'm just saying, it should be fun.
I understand Chad will be there for at least a portion of the game to watch the Gators.
Yeah, that's right. I'm kidding. I'm not ghosting anybody. I will be there. It's fun. I want to. We have some packing to do, but I will be there. We're coming back for more right here on the Sports Drive.
We served our country like those before us.
You know, it was a dangerous area. All of Vietnam was dangerous.
The carnage of war left an indelible mark on me.
We came back and built lives. As time went on, we faced new challenges and found support to handle them.
I went to the VA, talked to my doctor.
I started doing groups. I started doing one-on-one counseling.
At MakeTheConnection.net, you can hear our stories and find tools and services available to you.
This is a message for all parents. If you as an adult think it's tough being separated or divorced, have you truly stopped to consider how your being separated or divorced affects your children? How parents treat one another, either during or after divorce, can have lifelong effects on your children. Whether you are separated from your spouse or even actually divorced, in either situation, keep in mind that you and your spouse are parents forever. Hello, my name is Stephen T. Holman, and I am a family law attorney. If you have questions regarding custody, visitation, or child support, call me today for a free consultation at 435-6909. That's 435-6909.
Gordon Auto Wholesale says yes. No credit, bad credit, bankruptcies, no problem. Over 250 vehicles in stock. Third row SUVs and trucks. Everyone's approved. Gordon Auto Wholesale is the bank and can help you get into a nice, clean vehicle. Carfax checked. Need a new car? Gordon Auto says yes. Can't buy one from the other dealers? Come see Gordon Auto Wholesale on Palafox, just 2 blocks south of Airport. Or call 479-9200. That's 479-9200.
Pensacola is loaded with famous athletes, and when it comes to seeing a chiropractor for their sports injuries, there is one team they trust, Doctors Edwin Roberts. A family tradition for 3 generations, Doctors Edwin Roberts Chiropractic, next to Legendary Fitness on Mobile Highway, has helped champion athletes like Emmett Smith and Trent Richardson. Doctors Roberts specialize in relieving auto accident pain to physicals for the student athlete. The best treatment for sports injuries is prevention. Call 912-4155 for a free consultation and change your life forever.
Hey sports fans, we know that we all fumble now and then when we're headed for the end zone, and our vehicles are no exception. Next time your bad ride is a little off sides, take it to Amco Transmission, your total car care facility. And with no interest financing, even with less than perfect credit, you'll drive away feeling as if you caught the winning touchdown. You always make the right play when you take your vehicle to Amco Transmission on Davis Highway, just south of Airport Boulevard. Visit them on Facebook or call 800-GO-AMCO. AA-MCO.
Hey, Chad here from the Sports Drive. JC and I had a blast this Thursday for the grand opening of Burger King's newest location on 9 Mile Road at University. Burger King brought the heat with its new chicken sandwich. JC enjoyed the Impossible Whopper, like the impossibility of his Dallas Cowboys making the Super Bowl. His waistline is glad he did. If you couldn't make it last Thursday, don't worry. Stop by anytime at Burger King's newest location, 9 Mile Road at University. Ask them to throw you some heat with their new chicken sandwich. Burger King's newest location, 9 Mile Road at University across from Target.
Coming up Monday, recapping Cowboys Saints and all of the Week 4 action, plus taking a look ahead to Week 4's finale on Monday night. Also, the baseball postseason is here. All that and who won the weekend. Rolling Week on Monday, 6 Eastern, ESPN Radio, ESPN2.
ESPN Pensacola 1330 FM 99.1 is all about high school football. Catch the biggest local games every Friday night on Pensacola's home for local sports and our sister station, News Radio 92.3 AM 1620.
You're listening to Pensacola's local and ESPN sports station, your favorite ESPN radio shows, plus high school and UWF Argo football. ESPN Pensacola 1330.
Welcome back to the Sports Drive right here. So, Jeff, if I had to ask you the question here, 70s Jane Fonda workout, an 80s Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, or NFL primetime, what would you go with on this song?
Well, you're asking me which one I would like to watch. I'd go with primetime.
Well, no. Based on this song.
This song. Okay.
Jane Fonda workout video, Arnold Schwarzenegger movie like in Running Man, or
it sounds
NFL
like,
primetime.
Well, this is 80s music, and so I'm going to go with Schwarzenegger. Oh, it's NFL primetime. Well, now, was that the 80s?
I don't know. This is
graphic.
It says November 9th, 2015 right here. So.
Yeah, but that's when they posted the video. That's not when they posted that graphic. Is that graphic's kind of antediluvian? I mean, that looks like a graphic from 30 years ago, 20 years ago.
I'm just glad it's not Metallica because we played like a minute of them and they won't call us here at the end of it.
Exactly.
Did they play my song? All right, let's take a look here at some of the games as we continue through here. As let's get Thursday Night Football pumped up. Let's have some fun with that after this YouTube Kids video. But let's get to some of the things going on right now with the games coming up here this week. Auburn versus Mississippi State. They're trying to hype this into a big game, but Mississippi State's just not as good this year. They don't have the quarterback that they've had in the past to be so reliable. He's not bad. He's an athlete. But I look at this matchup and say, you know what? I like Bo Nix at home, the confidence. Auburn's offense isn't going to beat you by 100 points, but their defense can play with anyone in the country. And I think Auburn wins this game. That spread is very tricky. I would not. This is one I wouldn't touch with a 50-foot pole if I was out there right now. This is one where I would not. This is like the Trump family going into like a Mexican restaurant in El Paso and expecting nothing to be put in their food. You know, I'm not going to sit here and act like this is going to be one of these moments where I'm going to lay low. I'm not going to touch this one, Jeff. And I think I'm going to pick Auburn to win. But let me go with Auburn 24, Mississippi State 13. So we'll make it exactly 11 and move on from that. Auburn 24, Mississippi State 13. That's where I'll go.
24-13. This has the potential to be a trap game for
because they're getting ready for Florida.
Because they played at Texas A&M last week, and they're worried about Florida the following week. And Mississippi State's a really good physical football team. Who will be starting a true freshman by the name of Garrett Schrader, who looked really good last week. Has a beard the length of one of those guys that cuts wood up in at some of those sawmill things up in Washington. But Schrader's 6'4", about 220. He's kind of that prototypical running quarterback that Dan Mullen used to have.
Yes. He's a little better than Tommy Stevens, I think, for the offense.
Yeah, and he ran for 125 yards last week in a game against Kentucky, who has, relatively starchy run defense. So I would now. That being said, I think Auburn wins the game, but if the line's 10.5 or 11, I'd probably lean to taking Mississippi State the points because I think Auburn will be looking ahead. I think I want Auburn to win. Not that I don't I love Mississippi State and love their fans and know a bunch of them, but I want Auburn to win because I want to set that game up in Gainesville next week with 2 undefeated top 10 teams, with College Game Day, with the CBS Game of the Week, and be a big commercial for both Auburn and Florida next week.
Virginia sits at 4-0. Any chance of pulling the upset against Notre Dame?
I don't think so. I think we watched the Florida State-Virginia game. If Florida State was better coached, they'd have won the game.
Yes.
Florida State's got better players than Virginia, and you could tell that on the field.
Yeah, and Notre Dame has better players than Florida State.
Notre Dame has got pretty good players.
Yeah.
I mean, Notre Dame's got top 10 talent. There's no question about it, and they're well coached. Now, will Notre Dame have a hangover from that physical game at Georgia? Possibly.
This is the best Notre Dame team that they've had.
It's the best that I can remember.
It's the best that I can remember.
Certainly,
yeah.
It's better than Notre Dame.
Since the days of Parseghian and Holtz and some of those other teams.
It's better than the Notre Dame team that lost Alabama in the national title game. It's
That's what I'm saying.
Better. It's clearly better than that team.
That's the thing is you've got to watch them. So many people in college football, and it's not their fault, but so many people in college football only get to see their game of the week at 2:30 when there's 7 games going on at 2:30 or the 6:30 game. And not too many people in the SEC country are watching Notre Dame, Virginia, if they had to pick that against Ole Miss, Alabama at the same time. But the difference is, or Clemson, North Carolina. But if you watched them play against Georgia last week, you saw a good football team. That's a good football team with good athletes, and I think they'll take it out and cover against Virginia.
I agree very much.
Saints, Dallas. We got about 15 seconds.
Let's go Dallas on that one.
I got to go with Saints.
I love Teddy Bridgewater, what he did last week.
Jeff, enjoyed it, buddy. Happy birthday. Looking forward to it. Supposed to be there tomorrow. I'll tell you tomorrow. For all of us here on the Sports Drive, send out to Justin Patrick and football. PHS taking on Pine Forest.
AM 99.1 FM is where the action is. Bringing your high school football every Friday night, UWF football on Saturdays, and the NFL on Sundays. If you would like to partner with ESPN Pensacola as a sponsor or promotional partner, give us a call at 262-6000.